Hi together, welcome to another video. We are in the Alps right now doing a 3-day tour with this beautiful, immaculate, 100% original E46 M3. And actually this tour is organized by Schreiber Reich Sports Cars, which you may know as I recently filmed their 996 Turbo, so do check out that film. And for this tour they've provided us with this pretty special E46 M3. So here it is. I just had to pull over at the side of the road. It is the end of the first day. We're near the Brenner Pass right now. Tomorrow we're doing another day with different roads, but I just had to share this car with you. So honestly, E46 M3s are going a little bit crazy right now anyways. I don't know if it's possible to find a more original car. This specific one only has 25,000 kilometers. I mean, imagine that. And everything is original. Don't worry, a service was done, so it has fresh oil, has fresh fluids, fresh brakes, so good for this Alp tour, but it is such a time capsule. The tires are from 2001, so I believe the car's from 2001, which makes it 20 years old. So I think the question of whether or not this is a classic or going to become a classic doesn't need to be asked anymore. It is very obvious. And for me, this car just represents an era of when cars were so pure and real, which is what I love. I mean, let me just point out a few examples. For example, the exhaust is actually the exhaust. There's no fakeness going on there. It is relatively subtle. There are only a few cues which make it noticeable to an M3. Obviously, the wider stance, the M3 badge, the diffuser, the mirrors, which are instead of square, they're round, the grills on the side, the power dome on the bonnet, and the bumper, and that is basically it. That's what makes this a M3, at least visually, and it is so subtle, and that's what I love. It is such a well-rounded, authentic car, and that's very special to me. And I have to say, especially from this era, I love the silver. It doesn't have a sunroof, which is very nice, but there is one odd thing about this car, because it pretty much has every spec. I mean, look at this, the original alarm sticker. Yes, it has the SMG. First time driving the SMG for me, it took some while to get used to. We'll talk about it in a minute when we get driving. But other than that, look at this interior. It is completely spec clean. I mean, honestly, with these kilometers, it feels like I'm driving a car which has just been running. It's basically like it's been driven for a year, and you can absolutely feel that. The leather on the wheel, the seats, everything is absolutely brand new. In German we would say Jahreswagen, so a car which has been driven for a year and off it goes to the next owner. Beautiful. And I love these windows, obviously in E46 Coupe. I actually prefer the pre-facelift with the non-LED lights because I think they look a bit odd. They look like pineapples. Maybe I'm the only one. Just another example. Excuse all the shit in here. It has a 6CD changer. I mean, I remember back in the day when my dad had the E46 as a company car. If a car had a 6CD changer, that was a cool car. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know. I think it's quite special. I'm going to take a few more pictures here in this lovely scenery of the woods. And then we're going to go for a little drive and see what this 20-year-old completely original E46 M3 feels like. So, quickly, before we do get into the video, I just quickly wanted to mention a new camera I have, which is the Insta360 Go 2. On that note, this video is sponsored by Insta360 as they have very kindly provided me with this camera, which basically is world's smallest action camera, I believe. The specs are quite impressive. This isn't the camera, this is the case in which the camera is. It basically works like the AirPods. You can use this as a remote control, it charges it, but you can also take it out. And this is it. How incredible is that? It has all the features you'd expect, so 1080p plus, I think it even does 1440p, slow motion, pictures, time-lapse, and a bunch of different mounting possibilities. Whether it be on the cab, you can stick it to somewhere, you can put it on a stick. It's quite impressive. I've been using it on this trip, and you'll see some clips of it later. And I have to say, it is the best and quickest way I've experienced so far to quickly take a camera and get a video. You turn it on, you press record, and it works. There's a great app with which you can also change all the settings. You can even do quick stories, quick edits. I find it quite impressive. So here we have the case, and here we have a selfie stick and a couple of other mounting possibilities. There's even a little pendant which you can wear around your neck, so you can just quickly clip it to your t-shirt because the back of the camera has a magnet. You have a clip here for putting it on a hat or on anything flat. You have this self sticking mount. It all is very easy and it is fantastic to use. I really like it. So obviously USB charger. I mean, just look at how small this camera is. Turn it on, vibrates to let you know, and there you go. 5.9 gigabyte available, 1440. You change the modes. Yeah, very, very impressive, especially for this size. So yeah, big thank you to them, and I hope you enjoy the footage with this camera. And even though this is sponsored by them because they provided me the camera, I am giving my honest opinion, but I genuinely do think it is a really, really cool camera. The only downside, I would say sometimes connecting takes a little while if you just want to quickly grab it. And since there is no display on the camera, you kind of have to connect it to your phone if you aren't sure, is it in portrait, is it in landscape, but nevertheless you can just turn it on and get some stuff. Pretty cool, especially the small size. Another downside, it only has internal storage, 32 gigabytes, which, you know, with today's video quality can be used up quite quick. But nevertheless, I like it a lot. So if you're interested in one of these, there's a link down below. It's an affiliate link, which means I would earn something from it, but that doesn't cost you anything more. I get a small percentage. So if you want to pick one up, I'd appreciate it. Link is down below. Now let's take a look at this immaculate M3. All right. Just that sound already, that is so period. Just this absolute pure straight 6 BMW. I love it. Alright, there is a lot going on today, so we're not going to be going too quick. Plus, this is a very special, very original car, and the last thing I want is something happening to it, let alone a scratch. Not that I ever want that to happen, but we're still going to turn DSC off, because that is the only way to drive. Let's put the SMG in automatic right now. I'll tell you what, I've driven this car about 400 or 500 kilometers now, and it took me some time to get used to the SMG. I obviously know lots of modern automatics, but the SMG is like no modern automatic. Actually, the only thing automatic about it is that it changes gear. It literally is automatic manual. There's a fly in here. Let me just get rid of that. So, but other than that, just the first feeling, I mean, just touching the wheels, smelling everything, it just smells and feels so original. It is just this typical E46 smell. I immediately feel comfortable in this car. What I do, however, notice the seating position is a little bit awkward. You're sitting quite high, and this is the lowest I can get. But obviously everything is driver oriented, and it is so nice to sit in an E46, which is so spec clean. I mean, I've owned several E46s and I always had over 100,000 kilometers, so you know, they've been showing their wear and tear. But I mean, other than that, the car is basically a complete full spec Harman Kardon, automatic seats, big navigation screen, doesn't have the sunroof, xenon lights, etc, etc. I love the dials in this, with the shift lights that adapt to how warm or cold the engine is, and when you get to the top of the rev range, more lights actually light up, so that is very nice. But what is very unusual is having paddles on an E46, I'll tell you that. So yeah, it has 6 gears, and it's weird. It is very, very weird because you have 6 settings with which you can change the hardness of the shifts, and the 6th setting is only unlocked if DSC is off. I assume because from 1st to 2nd or 3rd it shifts so hard it can make the wheels spin, and that's no use if the DSC then blinks and cuts power and just slows you down even more. So we're in automatic right now, and we have it at the lowest setting. And the reason I find it awkward, when you're driving a manual, subconsciously you're pressing the clutch and you know the car is about to let off. You don't quite know when it does this. If you drive it tamely, it does it very, very early, which is actually quite nice for daily driving. You can really, really drive it very efficiently, and is very, very usable. However, I will demonstrate in a moment as I try to get these bikers. And it just takes long to shift. I had to shift on manual to get past those bikers. But it is so weird. I mean, you can't forget this car is 20 years old. Listen to that sound. I actually purposely have the rear windows open so we can just hear a little bit of that exhaust sound, because there actually is not that much sound, which I much prefer than having a fake engine noise through the speakers and pops and bangs from the back, which are just completely unauthentic, if that even is a word. But yeah, once you start shifting, it automatically puts it into sport mode, so into manual mode, and then it really is fully manual. You have to press the pedals. And since we have DSC off, we can put it in the hardest setting. We're in 3rd gear now. So I'm gonna shift down now, and it does a blip, and it's not bad. Yeah, so you really feel a thump when you shift, and I tell you what, it's not nice for drifting. On the way here yesterday, it was raining, and I tried a very easy drift in big open space, and shifted gear mid-drift, and I just completely spun, because with the stock suspension, the car just moves so much, and it just completely offsets the balance of the car. But what I do have to say, given the mileage, the car drives fantastic. It genuinely drives like a new car, just from 2001, but I find it very nice to drive, and especially to drift. To drift this thing, it feels like the most natural, right thing to do. It is very progressive. You know how it's gonna come. You know how you need to open up the steering and close it up eventually. And there's no fuss about it, despite the SMG. Actually is so manual that if I do put it in manual mode and I shift down and I stay on the throttle, it gives a bigger rev match, so I can genuinely influence the downshift and the rev match, which I kind of like. So you do have a little bit more of an influence than an instant shift. So yeah, very, very special to drive indeed. Not a big fan of the SMG. It did take some getting used to. I still am able to enjoy it, but one just has to consider that back in the day in 2001, this just was a very special thing, and I think many people opted for it because it just was different to the manual. So yeah, I enjoyed it very much. I hope you enjoyed taking a quick look into this time capsule. Let me know what you think. Is it already a classic, or is it still too young? Is it gonna be? I'm very intrigued. It was very special for me to drive this, especially given my E46, which has been completely in parts and back together, but not really, because it doesn't really have interior anymore. So very special indeed to be driving this car. So big thank you to Schreiberei for providing the car, and the car is actually for sale. So if you're interested in a museum car, get in touch with them. And we're gonna enjoy some more twisty roads. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.